goals for 2016. And what better place to start than 2015 to see how I did, if I want to keep those goals, if I want to make new goals, or anything like that. So, without further ado, let's check it out. Alright, the first goal I had for myself was to shrink scraps and open skein stash. Now you know what I'm talking about, all those little bits and bobs that you have when you finish a project and you still have some yarn left. Okay, well those drive me crazy. I cannot waste them. I cannot waste them. They're perfectly good yarn, and so I need to put them into projects. And of course, you know by now probably that I am a charity knitter and crocheter, so that's perfect to put combinations together, and it's actually really kind of fun. So, how did I do for 2015? It's a success. I did really well with these. I made some fiasco hats that I really didn't like, and those did not get given away. And I made some really successful ones too. Actually, I had a really good time doing it. So, do I want to keep this goal? Yes. I want to keep the goal. It's a great one. So for 2016 goal number 1, I'm going to shrink the scraps and open skein stash. Now, another goal that I had for 2015 was to use patterns from books and or magazines that I already owned. Now, you know how it is. You're very much attracted to a book and you think it has skills or patterns in it that you really want, and you get that book, and there's probably 1 or 2 patterns in there that you like, but you own it, you know, and you probably don't go back to it all that often. Magazines, I did get Crochet Today. I think that was the one. I don't know, I got that for a while, so I have a collection of those. So, did I use those? Did I go back and do that? Let's see. Yes, I did, but only, you'll notice it's a small check and only 1 ding, because I don't really like a lot of the patterns that I have. For example, you subscribe to a magazine and every page is not filled with something that you really like. And I am not one to do a project that I am not drawn to. I gotta really like it to begin with. So, yeah, I did do that one. So, do I want to keep that goal for next year? No, that's dumb. Life is too short. There are too many wonderful patterns that'll catch my attention to make myself go back and say, because you own it, you need to do it. No. So another goal that I had for 2015 was to work from my existing stash. I have far too much yarn, and I really need to use what I had. I'm often tempted by sales, and you know, almost every week it seems like you can open it up and, oh, this is on sale and that's on sale. Fun. So I decided that it was wasteful, gluttonous, just wrong to have that great big stash up there, and I really need to work from it. So I did give myself a caveat, and that was to buy only if there is this great big sale plus coupons. Okay, you had to have that combo. Or if I needed something specific. Oddly enough, I had the plans to make this Afghan with this really big fat yarn, and so I allowed myself to buy that, but I never made the Afghan. So, that's something wrong with that. But, did I adhere to the rules? Yes, I did. Good for me. I adhered to those rules. Now, not making that Afghan, I should probably get some points subtracted from that, but since I wasn't keeping points, I guess I'm okay. So the question is, do we want to keep that goal for 2016? And I do. I really need to work down that stash. And I did end up buying some sales toward the end of the year. I used a lot of my yarn, but I've kind of replenished it. And then, of course, I got given some wonderful gifts, and that increased my yarn stash too. So I need to work on my stash. I have wonderful, wonderful things in my stash that I could use. Okay, now another one that I had was to improve my knitting, and I had 2 points under that. One was to work with Tiny Needles, Tiny Yarn, and at that time I was fumble fingers with it. This time last year I was fumble fingers with Tiny Needles, Tiny Yarn. So did I practice this, and how did I do? Success! I practiced practiced a lot. I made a hitchhiker scarf out of sock yarn. I found that I love working with tiny needles, tiny yarn. So that was a success in that I gained a skill. So do I keep that? Do I keep that since I've already gained that skill? Yes, because I think we're going to add to that socks. I'm going to make my first pair of socks this year. I've been tossing the idea around. I've always said, I don't want to make socks because socks you have to stick in your shoes, and who's going to see all that work that you did? But Anne gave me some great sock yarn in my Christmas goodies, the exchange from Erin Gimme Yarns 418's Christmas thing. And also it came with a sock pattern, and I'm telling you, it's one of those things that is just like, you need to make some socks. You need to make some socks. So that's the goal for 2016. Now the second goal under improved knitting was to work on color work. So this could be Intarsia, Fair Isle, that type of color work. I love them both, and it was important to me to do that. So let's see, how did I do for 2015? No, I did not do well at that at all. So should that be a goal for this next year? Do I want to do color work? Let's reevaluate in this head. Yes, it is something I love. It is something I want to do. It's something I'm going to have on my goal list for 2016. Okay, something else I had was to fix my flatbed knitting machine. It catches. You go across, you go back, you come this way, and it catches. And so I really don't know what that problem is. And there's nobody around here that works on them. So, did I get my knitting machine fixed? No, I did not. However, I do get points for doing a little research. I called around to see if there's anybody around here that could fix it, and there are not. So I'm going to have to send it off. And I'm not sure if I have to send the whole shebang off or if I can send just the carriage that goes like that, because I think the problem is in the carriage. Because no matter where I do it, even if I go down here, you know, it will catch. If I stay just up here, it will catch. So I think it's just the carriage. Anybody with more knowledge than that, help me out if you can on that small amount of information. So does that stay on my list? It's not something I accomplish. Is it something that I want to do? Whatever. Yes, I do. I want my knitting machine fixed, my flatbed knitting machine. So yeah, it's staying on the goal list. So those were all the crafty goals that I had last year. We've now evaluated, we've determined if I wanted to keep them on. And so now we got to think about, is there anything I want to add? And yes, I am going to enjoy the wonderful gifts from my friends. I got some great yarn this past year, some wonderful hand spun, some from the UK, and just tons of wonderful things. I even got some wonderful patterns. Oh, by the way, Sarah, Crunchiest One, I forgot to thank you last week about the gift that you sent. More on that later, because that's going to be an ongoing project for me. And yeah, I'll tell you more about that later. But thank you, Sarah, for that. But that's an example of some of the wonderful gifts that I've gotten from my friends. And I told you last week, yes, I will remain a charity knitter and crocheter. Yes, I will definitely be doing that. But I am also going to set aside some projects and time to work with those gifts on some things for me. So that's a goal for 2016. Now, here is something else. Last year I told you some of my personal goals as well, which were organization and health, and I'm going to keep that short this year because it is important and it's going on my goal list and it makes a difference. But I ran across this picture. This was 2011, and I looked pretty much like that until 2 years ago, and over the course of 2 years I have added 15 pounds to my body. So, I mean, for heaven's sakes, look at my arms. I mean, I'm not even making muscles or anything. I just have them resting lightly on my husband and son. So, my last goal is not actually a crafty goal. Well, it kind of is a crafty goal, and I'll explain to you in a minute. But it is to sheepishly shed 10 pounds by April 30th. Now, here's the deal. We have a sedentary hobby, and if I'm doing all this crafty stuff, then I'm probably not moving as much as I should. I'm also not eating correctly. So I have to really make a balance out of my crafts, which is what I want to do, and exercise, which is what I don't want to do, and snacking, which is what I want to do, and not snacking, which is what I need to do. So all of this, my life is combined. My crafty life, my regular life, my mom, my whatever, it's all combined. So this has to be a major focus in my life. So if anybody wants to join me in sheepishly shedding 10 pounds by April, jump on the bandwagon and we can support each other. We can chat back and forth on the Sheepishly Shared Ravelry group, which we need to boost. It needs a little bit more life over there, so we can really get something going like that. I considered us playing some sort of game, but I couldn't figure out how we could measure this stuff. For example, you would have to kind of share how much weight you have now. There'd have to be an issue of proof in order to actually win a prize. And I am too sheepish to be putting my numbers down, so I know other people probably feel the same way that I do. So we'll have to just go on the honor system for that. But anyway, there's my goals for 2016. So wish me luck and let me hear